Red 2 standing by, all 4 lit, and in the green, welcome back to Donkey Kong 64. Tiny has quite a few bananas she can get in this temple, so we'll be going back to where she was held hostage. I think there are 2 or 3 banana balloons up here. But we'll take care of the grunts, grab those, and we'll continue on with all our little discussions. Might actually be easier if we just wind up rocking that saxophone, because I did pick it up. For some reason, the enemies wind up floating in midair. Alright, so we got that one. You can tell I'm really bad at timing my shots. But there we are. We wound up getting a few extra bananas. Do we have another one over there? Move more towards the center of the room. Nope, just the 2 balloons in here for Tiny. But we'll need to be Mini Monkey for the next bit. Now, another thing to discuss for today is the Donkey Kong Games ensemble cast. They've always been good at bringing in some interesting characters, even if, first of all, some of those characters weren't really that much as far as development went. You had the likes of Funky, Cranky, and Candy basically just being support along the way. But they've wound up developing a little bit over time. There was also a fair bit of development in the Donkey Kong Country cartoon, about which I really don't know that much. Yes, there was a Donkey Kong Country animated series. Are we really surprised? I mean, we did have stuff like the Super Mario Bros. Super Show. We had a Zelda animated series. This one was a CGI series, and it looked weird, would be the charitable way to put it. But overall, it wasn't too bad, because it gave us a few things like this. Like, well, our crystal coconuts. So basically, we keep taking out these clap traps, and we get ourselves another gold banana. Notice that our supply of crystal coconuts did not go down. So that's taken care of everything in Tiny's portion of this temple. We'll need to come back in as Lanky, and then we've got it finished. Now, where's the way out? There it is. And there we are. We can head on out and go and get Lanky Kong for his... Please actually get out of the water rather than turning around. So Lanky's portion of the temple is the last one we need. I'm triggering a lot of little glitches here. Like, nothing major, just weird issues with the sound of that. I mean, I've glitched them... Last episode, I did glitch the minigame sound effects 3 times. So yeah, there's always been a good collection of quirky and interesting characters in the Donkey Kong games. They have sort of developed a little bit along the way. DK's generally developed probably the most, comparatively speaking. You do have a fair bit of stuff with the Donkey Kong because of all the ensemble cast games he's been in. You've got Super Smash Brothers, basically. You've got all the Mario spin-off games. You've got the camera giving you trouble again. But yeah, DK obviously has had the most opportunities to develop himself, but Diddy has developed a fair bit as well. Tiny underwent some very interesting changes from when we saw her in this game. She reappears in Diddy Kong Racing DS, which is my other DK series experience, and we'll get into that a bit later on. Tiny looked much older, had a midriff bearing top, and other weird design choices, if I'm going to be honest. A bit strange in all fairness, but... well, I'm not sure if there is anything else other than that. It's just a bit strange. Dixie and Tiny wound up coming back for Diddy Kong Racing DS on account of the fact that they couldn't keep Banjo and Conker, who wound up going to Rare. Now we have to get our gun out and target Neki. Look for the gold banana. At least I presume this is a Neki anyway. It certainly looks like the series' classic vulture enemy. Surprised that counted. So yeah, Nekis have appeared either stationary, spitting nuts at people, or perhaps spitting or throwing nuts, or just flying around and attacking people. The pirate variant is basically known as Crow. Can't hit it up there. Oh, Chunky. Didn't realize there were chunky bananas in here. Just gotta wait. So yeah, those were kind of unusual choices in all fairness. But at least Diddy Kong Racing DS was an enjoyable game. I still prefer the original one. That is completely understandable. It just had a certain charm to it. Yeah, there was a real charm to Diddy Kong Racing. There's the dying Neki. That I don't quite think, at least on a personal level anyway, that Mario 64 doesn't match. Diddy Kong Racing has its fair share of challenges. It definitely doesn't come across as being super easy, especially once you start to get to the terror of the silver coin challenges. But overall, it just feels like a lot of fun. The game doesn't punish you for being good at it. It's got a great soundtrack by David Wise, which is a big bonus. And just overall, it feels really creative and does something different. Now, if you'll allow me to demonstrate something, walk onto this, press Z, then unleash the wave. Your character will wind up being somewhat transparent. If you wind up doing the warp again, you will be able to get back to normal. Sadly, this does not translate to invisibility against enemies. Welcome back to Critter Carnage. If we're careful, we can also have critters chasing us for the entire time. It's the world's worst fight again. More sprint training. Come on, we're doing laps. Your performance in the last game was absolutely unacceptable. 3 own goals. That doesn't happen outside betting syndicates. Come on, I want results, and I will have results. So yeah, well, that can be accessed as any Kong, except for DK in all fairness, because he can't get in here. Lanky is usually the one you'll do it with, but once you start getting Kasplats involved, then you can't really do very much about those particular battles. You will have to fight your way out. But yeah, as I said, Diddy Kong Racing just feels like it has a hell of a lot of charm. It's not quite finished. There are some elements that are a little bit unpolished because they sort of rushed it forward on account of the fact that Banjo-Kazooie wasn't quite going to be ready. I'll have to get Diddy out and we'll continue on as him. Before switching to Tiny, in all fairness. But Diddy Kong Racing was still an incredibly good game. It's a lot of, like I said, it's a lot of fun, and the DS version does add that little bit extra as well. It's very enjoyable. It's perhaps not quite the same... not quite the same in some ways. Now, one of the worst things about the Rocketbarrel, you are going to be fighting the camera. But we can cruise along. Now, if I get myself at the right height, we can... There we go. That turned out a little bit better than I anticipated. Sometimes I can actually play competently. So, Diddy Kong Racing DS is... Well, it's a solid game. It doesn't do a huge amount that's different, but it does sort of do enough to make itself an enjoyable experience, even if the controls on the DS aren't always best optimized for... Well, even if the DS isn't necessarily optimized for racing games. Mario Kart DS was pretty good. I absolutely love that game, especially since it is relatively cheating-free. So we have that, and quite importantly, we got to mess around with a track maker. There were I think what they essentially wound up calling dream courses or something like that. I can't remember exactly what they called them, but you could design your own tracks. I think you could maybe use them in multiplayer. I didn't really have a lot of DS multiplayer opportunity, but you could also wind up racing against TT on those tracks. You couldn't race against anyone else, which was a bit unfortunate. But, of course, one of the fun things I loved about that was that you could basically screw TT over by making extremely tight turns with very... Well, with the highest possible terrain variation. So we need to do that with Diddy before we can get Tiny's next banana. We can go into the Llama's temple with Tiny. And that is where we shall go. Being able to make the track as hilly as possible with all those ridiculous sharp turns. The AI quite simply could not handle them. Where's... Oh, it must be at the back, not... One of the switches is at the back, that's Tiny's. Now, if I'm careful... There we go. So yeah, being able to goof around and make a whole bunch of stupid tracks like that was, at least for me anyway, one of the appeals. And one thing that was kind of addressed pretty well, I think, they actually did set up a proper jungle level. There was actually a real jungle level in that game. It was a bonus area in all fairness, but at the very least it was an actual jungle level. And it did borrow a bit from DK Island Swing as its main theme. Probably will need Lanky for a few things because we have... That one's for Lanky. If we look out there, should be able to move along as Tiny and... Oh dear. Okay, spray and pray. That is obviously my tactic. Yeah, so it was nice having those additional elements, but I suppose the redesign of Tiny just came across as a little bit weird for me. I'm not exactly sure what the reasoning was, but... Oh, just missed it. Not sure what the redesign behind the sort of more grown-up look was, but somebody decided it was a good idea, I don't know. It just does feel a little bit jarring. I think Tiny actually turned up in one of the Mario Sluggers games. So you've had a few Kongs pop up in ensemble cast games here and there. we've obviously had Donkey Kong. Funky Kong has turned up in quite a few situations because, well, Funky has proved fairly popular along the way, but of course there was kind of the problem in Mario Kart Wii that Funky pretty much dominated everything. So, this lava isn't an instant kill. It will hurt us, but it's not an instant kill. If we have the ponytail twirl, this bit is really easy to navigate. Thankfully, anyway. There. Cranky hasn't appeared a lot. Before his appearance in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, K. Rool's last appearance was in one of the Mario Sluggers games. I'm not sure who else appeared, but there have been a few Kongs popping up in some of those ensemble cast games. It'll usually be Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong that appear, but some of the others will turn up too. Dixie is probably a bit more likely to appear. Strangely enough, we haven't really had a lot of appearances from Kiddy Kong. Chunky hasn't turned up a lot. Lanky hasn't turned up a lot. And it's kind of wasted potential as far as I'm concerned anyway. There should be a bit more opportunity for some of them. Donkey Kong himself has always provided a lot of entertainment. I'll quickly warp away from that purple claptrap and we'll get Lanky out because Lanky has a few things he needs to do in here. Okay, wasn't sure if that had worked or not. We've got a gold banana and we've got an interesting little mini game. Now, what do I do? Ah, rightio. Defeat the critters and the vines lower. That's it. So we've got a few coins if needed and some bananas. Might as well get those. I mean, we will probably be right for coins. But might as well grab them anyway. So yeah, they really could do with using a few more of the ensemble cast members because they managed to get Cranky to be a really useful playable character in Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. Cranky's a lot of fun. What was that? I need to listen now. Okay, I picked the two that were the same. Now, when you shoot these, they'll play sound effects. The colours denote the pairs as well. Man, there is no subtlety. Is that the critter coming back to deal with me? Yes, it is. Whoops. Didn't realize I accidentally shot that one. I thought I'd missed. There we go. Now we've got it. Whoa! There we are. I just dropped Lanky into the lava. But all is well. We can collect some ammunition and we can move on. So yeah, I do wish they'd use a few more of the characters because they've managed to do pretty well when they do get those old characters back. Interestingly enough, it does kind of... The way everything's set up in Tropical Freeze does kind of mean that Diddy's not actually that useful. His hovering is nice, but the problem is that Dixie's just better, and Cranky has his significant advantages as well. Diddy just winds up being outclassed a bit, which is unfortunate. Okay. Man, that was a curveball and a half. And there we are. So we can actually play the trombone with Lanky and get another banana in here. Wait, I was about to... He made the sound effect for throwing a grenade, but then he wound up getting out his camera. That's weird. So yeah, overall, it's kind of an interesting relationship we have with the Donkey Kong series. I probably haven't done as much as I'd like, but I do appreciate and enjoy DK's appearance in ensemble cast games, mostly because this has led to a whole lot of interesting running jokes. This is going to be interesting. Teetering turtle trouble, keep the turtles spinning by feeding the snakes melons. A to fire a melon and... Oh, the dead zones are not going to be my friends. This one's fairly easy at least, basically just sort of mash fire and see what happens. Wait, where's that one? Some of them are just saying things. There we are. That's going to be a little bit tricky in the later ones, but overall not too bad. That's it. Donkey Kong overall kind of has an interesting time for us because he's sort of... Well, he's kind of become the character who's a bit hapless along the way. He winds up doing strange or silly things. There's a whole lot of jokes about Donkey Kong being incompetent or doing something ridiculous. And the silly sound effects we get out of it. I'm not exactly sure how it's wound up developing like that, but that just is what happens. Now, I'm gonna need Diddy, so we'll grab him at the tag barrel and then head out. Because I need Diddy to get Tiny's next gold banana. For example, throughout multiplayer, we've had a lot of stories. I've probably mentioned Donkey Kong's palette swap with the yellow tie in this game. Yellow tie DK is notorious for a whole lot of ridiculous stunts along the way. If there's something incompetent that can be done, yellow tie DK will manage to do it. Donkey Kong's usually the one that winds up losing in all these games, but somehow it winds up being the case that yellow tie DK is the most incompetent of the lot. Oh good, managed to get that. If we can cut across here, we can actually land on the rooftop. And start activating something for Diddy. It's not quite as thirsty as you'd think in terms of crystal coconut juice. Hit that switch. And and we can now feed this thing. And hopefully not squash ourselves, because we have to do a few things with Diddy in order to accidentally run off and wind up getting into that particular temple. But all in good time. We'll make our way back over here. Yeah, we can see how a few things have wound up permeating pop culture from this particular game. I've had a lot of... there's been a bit of influence from this game, but mostly... it is mostly this game and the original Donkey Kong Country. Tropical Freeze, like, I really do love the soundtrack. But I definitely have to play it more, but there's still so much more I can do with the DK series in a sense. I don't have as much experience as I'd like, but it's mostly all the ensemble cast stuff. There we go, we have now activated all those switches for that temple. Fly up here, and let's at least get a good angle of attack. Have to do this 3 times. Fly through the sun and don't crash into it. So we have to complete a vulture's obstacle course. Quite interesting birds, vultures, and they do actually play quite a vital part in society, in the animal kingdom, cleaning up carrion and things like that. Don't underestimate just how useful vultures can be, even if they seem gross. So we have to head over to the jet barrel. Over this way. Let's keep flying. Well, we can at least top up our crystal coconuts. Follow around the level and fly through all the rings. This looks like a job for... Superman! Crap. Superman obviously does not fly very well. Oh, handle. Ugh. Yeah, I already screwed up, so we try again. Whoops, hit the screen there. Alright, thankfully we get infinite crystal coconuts, but oh god, the worst part about this stupid challenge is the handling. Oh, the jet barrel... The jet barrel handles... well... Looks like we're going to be ending the episode with the jet barrel. We're going to have to speed this up because this thing handles roughly about as... There are shopping trolleys that would criticize this thing's handling. Let's put it that way. I'm not very good with the jet barrel because, as you can imagine, I'm rusty. Oh, come on. Wait, how did I not fly through that one? This is as bad... This is... And now we have to get through there. I'm rusty at this, but honestly, between the janky hitboxes on this thing, the rings have very janky hitboxes. If you don't fly exactly through the middle, you're in a lot of trouble. Let's stick the landing, and I'll calm my nerves, and I'll see you in the next one. Till next time, this is Red 2, returning to base.